Hello again. So the purpose of this video is to go over the steps to create a 3D sort of sonic landscape for our zombie game. So we're going to have various things going on. I've got some area loops that I would like to have playing. Of course, we made these sounds together in class, and you'll recall that we bounced them out of our digital audio workstation into a folder called Zombie Audio Assets. And this was, I guess there's no hiding it. We use Pro Tools, and there they are in the bounced files directory. Why are you working on it? Okay. So remember, we made some dogs, and I don't know why I misspelled that a couple of times. What I meant to type was wolf. We have some beds that were designed as loops. I think our insects were all loops, but we have some one-shots in here as well. The crows, we got some crows and some dogs off in the distance. We cut those up. Those are not looping. And some of them we explicitly named loop. If we were being very, very meticulous about this, we should care about, keeping naming conventions consistent. But, we just had to get had to get this done. So some of them are obviously loops, and then certain ones, are obviously one-shots. Anyway, in advance, so normally what I would do is I would create, in the content directory, I would have a new folder called imported audio, excuse me. And as you can see, obviously I already have one, and that's because what I would typically do after making a folder like this is just drag and drop all of those WAV files, the bounced WAV files, into that directory. And that's what we have here, okay? So all the ones that are called beds, we may or may not try any spatialization with them. But some of the sounds should be area loops. Good example of that would be like the different insects that might come from different areas around this environment and so forth. But with the crows and also with the howling of the wolves, I thought there were more crows than that. Imported audio. I did this on 2 nights, 2 consecutive classes. So I do have this folder called more imported audio. Oh, and there's already a sound cue in there. Goodness. I better delete that because we're going to be remaking it in this video. So we've got an assortment of raw sound waves to choose from. Any of the ones that are meant to be looping before we use them in sound cues, as you recall. Oh, there's another one. Let me get rid of that. Delete. Force delete. Didn't have to force it that time. It was a real pushover of a sound cue. Okay, so the ones that are explicitly supposed to be loops, like these bees, for example, of course, you would open them up. And I think this is going to be off by default. Please don't be put off by the fact that it's already checked for me, because remember, we already did this together in class, so they're already set up the way that they're supposed to be. But if it's a bed of some kind or an insect loop, just make sure that you check that box and then resave the wave asset, okay? There's 2 more cues. They're staring me in the face, and I'm not even noticing them. So we'll delete those as well. Force delete. The reason is that they're in use in other levels that I've used to demonstrate this to you in your classes. But I don't care that those references don't matter anymore, because this is just a brand new level here. Okay, so right now there's silence. So if we go into the game, here we are. And I just got this together really, really quickly. It's a tiny little landscape with a tiny little sculpt, a little bit of foliage on the ground, some megascrans. It's like having mega scrambled eggs. Anyway, so some Megascans trees, and a very cool asset that I love having. It's called Easy Fog by William Fokker, and he is a developer to follow. I highly recommend keeping up with what he does on YouTube and also some of the products he's released to the marketplace. So this fog is a very, very useful and easy thing at mist. I could even have placed some on, above the ground. I should have done that. That would have increased the effect as well. But this is silent. There's nothing in here except for the sound we implemented on our character already for her battle. And as you know, that's all randomized. Okay? I don't want to start with my loops necessarily first. Okay? Let's start out with some, I don't want to start out with any like environmental loops. I would rather have some area, what they used to call area emitters. I don't know if anybody uses that term anymore. But let's make 3 different sound cues for bees, for instance, so that certain bees can sound like they're coming from over here. Some of the bees can sound like they're coming from over here. And some can sound maybe like they're coming from over here. So let's start with bees 1. Okay, and we're going to right-click that, make a sound cue, bees 1 cue. And what I would typically do here is on the wave player, tick looping. And I don't know if this is just because I'm paranoid about it. I usually include a looping node as well, like that. And this may be necessary if I ever wanted to control from another blueprint, whether or not it's looping. That's the only reason that I can think of why it would have to be so triple redundant. But anyway, I would set it up like this. I suppose if you wanted to, you could put modulation here. If you a regular modulator, honestly, would really not be continuous like an LFO. So I would just leave it like this. If you didn't like the pitch of the wave player, then a modulator would be fine if you wanted to change the pitch or something like that. But this is going to be continuous because it's a loop, so there's no point in having each iteration have different modulation applied to it. So I guess that's my point. So I'll save that. And, oh, excuse me, I didn't mean to leave you quite so soon, because I wanted to check a couple of things. First of all, I like to start with the volume multiplier at 1, and we can control that from the details panel in the main editor window. I do like to click override attenuation and just look at what the defaults are. And this is going to inform me about certain things that I'm going to have to script later, especially the fall off distance. I'm taking note of the fact that it's 3,600 units. Of course, I can change that, but I don't want to in this case for reasons that I think will become apparent a little bit later on in this video. Okay? So let's save that just the way it is. And this is going to be an area emitter. Now I have a player start, so let me just make sure I'm oriented and I can decide where I want this to all sound like it's coming from. And I can place the bees right here, zoom out, and look at the radii from here. Okay, I don't even have to be inside the sound cue. So let me just select that actor, excuse me, and we'll go through. Maybe I missed it. Hold on. I might even have to override attenuation right here in order to have those parameters. Okay, so yeah, it wasn't even necessary to think about it in terms of the sound cue. Okay, so the fall off distance is 3,600, and I'm taking note of that mentally. And I think this already covers a pretty good radius here. Maybe the inner radius could be a little tighter, and the fall off distance can be like maybe that much, so that we don't necessarily hear it right away until we start approaching that area. Okay, so let's test that. Oops, something glitched. Maybe I just don't quite remember what direction I have to walk. Or maybe I need to increase the radius. Let me get my bearings one more time. In comparison to the player start. Oh, that's way back here. Okay. So let's move that forward some, just so we don't have to be stuck in the weeds as much as we are. Okay. Now let me reevaluate the fall-off distance for that area emitter. Okay, so B's Q. Okay, yeah, so I can see now that the fall-off distance maybe should be larger, and just as they approach this area. Okay, so I could walk forward a little bit, and when I see these two gravestones, I could just hang a left, and we'll see how that feels. Wait, am I pointing the right direction? Yeah. Okay, I think I get it. Okay, that seemed glitchy again, so let me once again try it. I don't know if I'm in the right area. Okay, so that seemed a little sudden, that onset. And I don't know why it's playing like a one-shot. Okay, so this cue should be looping in every way. And I can't think of any reason why that should be cutting off as soon as I enter that radius there. So let me just make sure that there's nothing I see here. I can make the fall off distance even larger because the inner radius is so small it might be just faintly audible out this way. Okay. Now, the reason that this is probably happening is due to the fact that when I rotate to my left, the camera, the follow camera, is rotating sort of opposite the direction of my view here. So it's probably outside of that radius, and by default, the camera is the audio listener. So there's a good explanation for that. So if I make it just a little bit larger on its radius there, or excuse me, the outer fall off distance, then we're not going to have that problem. But wherever its origin happens to be, that's where it's going to turn out to be the loudest. Oh, I thought I turned collision off on these gravestones. I guess I did not, so you'll have to forgive me on that. Like I said, it's late at night. Now, as I get farther away from that, we should hear it less. So that's why we have three different bird loops, for example. And that's just going to go and go and go. So let's see if I have auto-activate. If I can turn that off, that means that it should only work in play. And of course it doesn't. That's just because I said so. But we can, maybe turn that on and off right now. Yeah. I don't love the fact that that just constantly plays, so I guess I'm just going to manually deal with that for now because I don't know how to make it stop, if I'm being honest. Okay, so let's make sound cues out of these other two Bs. Therefore, create cue, and that doesn't need to be any different, really. This has to be looping. And like I said, just to leave no stone unturned, there's got to be a reason that this node exists. So in it goes, as far as I'm concerned. Looping. Save. And these B's sound different. Okay, so looking way, way, way out here, okay, we can take this other cue, which I'll save first, place it into the world, maybe over there, okay? And we'll override the attenuation. Actually, let me disable auto-activate on those for now, okay? And we'll override the attenuation from inside the details panel. So let's see. Now spatialization needs to be on, override attenuation for sure. And remember, the first cue we could hear, I'm going to make that even larger. I don't know, I like the idea that there'll be these B's in the distance that get more intense the closer you get to their origin. And then this one, I think, should even overlap a little bit. So let's increase the fall-off distance, or adjust the fall-off distance after we reduce the inner radius. So if the character happens to travel in this direction, they're still going to hear B's, although they're going to be at first a blend of both types, and then less of the original type and more of the new type, and so forth. And since I have 3 loops, I might as well make 3 cues. So we'll create a cue, B3 cue. I don't know why that made me laugh, but it did. So we're going to click looping and place looping in here. I'm probably wrong about the necessity of this, but I'm not wrong about the necessity of ticking it here. Okay, so one day we should just try it with and without the looping node, because frankly, I don't remember. Okay, so we now have a third type, and we can consider maybe placing that behind the player start. Let's just get reoriented to where the player start is. Okay, so the player start is here, so we're going to place this B3 cue. Maybe a little disconcertingly close to her. Override the attenuation and bring down the inner radius. Oops. Oh, the problem is my eyes are obscuring this a little bit, so I guess I'll estimate, it could be 400, which is the default, but I'll just say 200, why not? And then I can see the fall off, so, and we can compare that by just type B's, and just make sure that it, in fact, all 3 overlap. Where's the sunset? Okay. So again, this one belongs behind the player start, which is around here. One of them, I don't know how that got moved. It seems like maybe it did get moved. So I'll place it around here. And this one, yeah, somehow the fall off distance got goofy on that too. I was probably being careless about something. But let's see if we hear like 3 dBs around us. Oh, and you know what? The auto activate, of course, I have to re-enable that. Oh, in the world outliner, doofus. Auto activate, sure. It's funny how now I don't hear them. It's very like it's mocking me. So clearly some volume adjustment is going to be necessary because the different cues are not balanced with respect to their volume. So let's go to this first one and just play it. Oops. Can I play you? Let me see. Yeah, I don't remember if there's a way. Is there a way? Yeah. Okay, so it seems to me like this one could come down. I'm not hearing that in the preview for some reason, but I'm going to probably just have to test it. We're going to probably have to just test it in play because it seems to me like 0.32 is a lot. And I know about the relationships between percentages and decibels, so I don't think that this preview is actually reflecting this at the moment. So there's B's here, there's B's here. Play these as a reference. These ones I turned down, and then these ones are close to the player's start. We can get them a little bit farther back. That's one thing we could do. Just want to make sure, though, that they do overlap with the other insects there. Okay. And maybe I'll have to turn that one down as well. So we're going to go to our volume multiplier. Maybe I'll just estimate 0.75. Let's see how it feels in the game. It's interesting how I hear that. Okay, so we can hear these bees rotating around us. And of course, they're going to get louder. According to wherever we put them. And remember, there are 3 types. Pardon the, you can see me walking through the fog cards right now. That's unintentional. But I suppose I just didn't plan this well enough. Sorry, William. I didn't mean to depict your work in such a shabby little level here. But in any case, you can hear what's happening. It's blending between the 3 different types of bees. We had some cricket loops. Okay, so I think let's just listen to that for a second. That may be one thing we could do with this is make it a 2D sound, but then it would have no head rotation. But another thing that we could do is just make it a 3D sound and have the fall off distance just be incredibly large and the inner radius very small. And maybe that would allow it to rotate as well, instead of having to place like lots of them, for example. So let's make a sound cue here. Cricket loop. Okay, here we got the cricket loop, the wave player set to looping. Put one of these in there to the final output. Save. I bet you I'm going to have to turn your volume down. Cricket loop. Oh, we have three of. Oh no, we don't. We have two wave files. Therefore, we're going to make two sound cues here. Okay, so let's save that. Oh no, I didn't loop it yet. Hold on. So that's a total of 3 tasks, right? Doing it in the original wave file, then in the wave player, and then with this node. I bet you I'm wrong about this node. Okay, so in any case, we'll wait for that to save. I'll have some coffee while that's happening. Working from home right now, so it's coffee in quotation marks, but that's all right. Hey, this is taking forever, so I'm going to press pause and I'll unpause the recording. Yeah, okay, now my screen recorder has a sense of humor. Okay, so in any case, or maybe that was Unreal having a sense of humor because I didn't have to pause it, just as I said I was about to pause it. Anyway, that's what it's like to be me. Okay, so we've got these 2 cues. And let's see, maybe we can even do something like almost quadraphonic with them. That's at least my idea for the time being. So we'll save that cue. And I just want to reassure myself, yeah, that we did the same thing, same treatment to both. Okay. So yeah, this is really, really shabby placement of Maestro Falker's great products. So I'm really ashamed of myself here. Easy Fog. Yeah, I've got, I think, a few of them in there. This one can go. I remember I didn't use that. 1, 2, 3. Okay, so this one, I'm sorry, this has absolutely nothing to do with audio. But I just want this to be a little bit more okay. Just to show that I'm not the absolute laziest demo level designer in the universe, which I possibly, I stand a chance of being exactly that. So where is this one? Let me bring it in so when she looks to her left or her right or to her front, we can kind of decide at what point that fog starts to fade in. It is a 2D plane, however, so keep that in mind. Those are not volumetric fogs, but they look really terrific, I think. So I guess that'll make it super easy for us to walk through, but anyhow, we'll find out. Going to play. Okay, so that's okay. All right, so let's get out of there again. And okay, so here's what I mean by quadraphonic. We've got 2 cricket loops. Maybe I can have this one right around here, but the other one behind her. And maybe I can have another instance of that over here. Or maybe even the opposite one. And then one of these over here. Okay, so I'm going to type cricket just so we can mess with their relative attenuations. So let's see. We will allow spatialization, override attenuation. Let's set the inner radius. Actually, in this case, I might want to increase the inner radius a little bit. but I want to make sure that all of these kind of overlap one another. Override attenuation. Come on, cooperate. Okay, so they do kind of overlap, which is good. Let's get this one here. And override its attenuation. I think I might have that obscured. Oh, see, some trees there, which is fine. The smaller I make that, I would have to get closer to that point, closer and closer to that point to hear it at its maximum. So we might want the non-spatialized radius to be a little bit larger for these than for certain other types of sounds. And again, what have I done prior to that? They all overlap a little bit, you think? And of course, they're all using the same fall-off function. I think one of them should be up here, right? So we've got one of these here, and here, and here, and up here. Do we then? Let's see. Oh, I didn't override the attenuation. Okay, so inner radius, we'll just leave for now. Actually, it needs to be smaller, I think. Maybe not that much smaller. Okay, maybe I'll move it over too a little bit to center it better in our landscape. Okay. Everything's rotating, nice in 3D. Different crickets. Okay, so what I'm hearing, what I think I'm hearing is that they all just need to be brought in closer to one another. So I'll do that. Maybe I'll center this more on this side of the map and bring it in a little bit more. Guess we have like slightly wasted radii here. And let's, the inner radius, I think should be bigger. Maybe that's too much. And then that one there. Again, just bring it in more so that we always hear crickets. Okay, so one of those is a lot louder than the other, so let's adjust their, again, their volume multipliers. So it was these two that, oh, I thought we turned some of them down. So I don't remember. Okay, I need to reorient myself again. Where is my player start? I have to look at the arrow component because I'm colorblind to find out which direction we're facing. Okay, cricket one loop. Where are you? I wanted to see if I could see the, oh, it's way the hell up in the air. This is ridiculous. This is like a comedy of errors. So I don't know how that happened, but what we can do is translate that down. By the way, if you hold down Shift, it'll take you along for the ride. I better evaluate the Z for all of these. So I'm stuck in something. Hold on, escape. And let me just speed up my camera a little bit because I seem to be just going slow. Really? I'm just editing right now, not simulating. So I'm stuck in a tree? That doesn't seem normal. Okay, so let me pause for a second and figure out why this is happening. Okay, during the time that I was paused, I realized that somehow I managed to get 8 rather than 4 cricket loops into there somehow. I don't know what I did, but could have been a slip of the fingers. So I left our bees the way they were, and now again I'll reorient myself and find my player start, zoom out a bit. And we're going to redo basically what we did before. All right, so I'll put one of these back here, override the attenuation. And, you know, it's not necessarily that I don't really mind that it goes out to the extents, but maybe it's better if they just overlap rather than, yeah, just so we can hear a distinct difference, okay? So I like that this is here, but you know what? I'm going to also look from a different direction to make sure that it's not higher in the air than I think it is. All right, so Alt-Shift. I'm going to make another copy of this. But you know what? I don't think I want it to be there. I think I want it to be there-ish. Okay? And then we're going to get the other cricket loop. Put it here, override the attenuation. Of course, now I can't see it. There we go. And that's huge. But again, I'm going to have to judge it from down there. Okay, so we've got cricket loop 1 is behind the player start, okay? And another one of them is over here and definitely overlapping. So this is, I'm sorry, this is Q2. Seems to me like that has to be more like so. Larger inner radius and a bigger fall off, unless I'm just judging it from too far away. Okay, so this Q, okay, cricket loop 01, cricket loop 01, I guess that's fine. And cricket loop Q2 is over here. I want them to rotate. Okay, so let me think here. This is loop 2. Behind her should be loop 1. Okay. 1, I guess maybe I'll just alternate. So that's Q1. Yeah. So I'll just do like this. Seems like these should be opposite though, doesn't it? I guess that's, I have to do it with an odd number in the future. So that's loop 2. I want there to be distinct zones of different different crickets. I already have my zones of critics. Okay, so override attenuation. Do I have the wrong one? Why are there 3? I thought I copied one. So This one, which one is on the right? That one. I don't want that again. That's loop 1. Okay, so I guess what I want for over here, yeah, maybe another loop 1. I think I do. There's no good way of doing this. I keep on changing my mind. So I'll just make a copy. If I hold down Alt-Shift, then it'll take me along for the ride. And I think pretty much they're all overlapping at this point. And just increase the outer radius of that a little bit. I'll check all of them. Okay, so this should be kind of like quadraphonic crickets. That's my next band. These are absolutely spatialized. I think I've got to get way back here. I don't think I've heard the other cricket type yet. Unless the primary one is just too loud in general. So let's hear it. Okay. I'm just going to estimate, therefore, that this one has to be turned down, let's say to 0.5. All of the insects, for that matter, are probably a lot louder than they need to be. No. You know what? They all have to be opposite. They really do. You're watching me make bad decisions in real time. So I hope you're enjoying it. So this is loop 1, and this is also loop 1, but I'd rather it not be. I want it to be opposite. So let's get a loop 2, which really should be centered up here. And then I'll make a copy of it, holding down Alt, bring it over here. Now I've got 2 adjacent corners. You can see the dilemma that I'm facing here. And then I want the front and back to be opposite. So that is loop 1. That's definitely loop 2. Q2, Q1. Now this one seems like the attenuation has to be adjusted. At least it looks like it from this angle. So let's increase fall off sufficiently and bring it in. Looks like it's down really low. Okay, so I am going to have to judge the elevation of each one of these and probably have to readjust some of the radii. All right, so let's now get a little bit closer to ground level and see where these things actually are on the z-axis. Okay. It's way up in the air, not where I want it to be. That seems okay. All right, and that seems to be okay. So let's look at it again from up above. Now that they're all on roughly the same elevation, and we'll make sure that, yeah, this one is obviously not going to be right. And it's the one that belongs here. So yeah, it appeared to have a different radius because it was just offset on the Z so much. Okay, so now let's see if we can perceive the crickets changing. Yep. And I think all the bees are too loud, so let's turn them down. Volume multiplier, say 0.5, 0.6. Maybe I'll leave that one alone. 0.6. Looks like we've already done a few things with the bees there. Should have made quadraphonic bees too. Okay, so these area loops seem pretty good. Cool. So it's already starting to become somewhat dynamic. But now we're going to get into some of the one-shots and trying to, kind of make them happen at random. So I'm going to go into the first imported audio folder because I know that we don't have that many wolves. The wolves loop, we'll have to figure out how I want to handle that. I have an idea for that. But what I want to do is take all of these one-shots, which, by the way, they're still sound waves, and notice that they're not set to looping, right? Because they're one-shots. We'll highlight the ones that we want to use, right-click, and create a single cue using all 5 of those, okay? And I'll open that up. Now you can see what happens, therefore, is that it automatically connects all of them to this random node. And that's great. One thing I want to do, however, is to override the concurrency on here because I don't want to have more than, let's say, 3 of these playing at once. Otherwise, we're going to have a choir of wolves potentially. So let's just say the max count is going to be 3 on these wolves. Okay. And we'll save that. Now, I would like to start putting this into a blueprint. So maybe we'll go back 1 level. Oh no, we're already in imported audio. So I'll make a new folder in here. And I'll call it random audio blueprint. Okay. And I'm going to make an actor blueprint in there. So we'll go blueprint class of type actor. And I'll call this, what will I call it? BP underscore animal sounds, for instance. Okay. I like that. Makes sense. And I'll just dock it here for now. Animal sounds. That could also be a band name. Okay, so let's do this. We'll get rid of these couple of courtesy nodes. I will end up using begin play in a little while. But I'd like to start with a custom event. And this is going to be called whatever you want, I suppose. But I think for my purposes, I'm going to call it start wolves. Start wolves. Okay. And what I need is a play sound at location node. But what I need to do first is at what location, because I want this to be within the radius of the player. So off of begin play, I'm inclined to just cast to BP underscore third person character, which is, I think, the name of our player character. Yeah, we just changed it out in there. The object pin, you're going to need get player character. Yes, it's been a long day, I'm sure you can tell. I guess we can, what we're going to need really from this is the location. So we'll get actor location from the return value and promote that to a variable. We could have promoted the full actor reference to a variable, or the character reference, I should say. But in this case, I don't really need it. So we're going to, this is just going to be the player's location. Okay, so I have that right off. And by the way, I'll probably use that in just a moment. So start wolves, we will start with a delay. And I want it to be somewhat random. So we'll pull off the duration pin and type random float in range. Random float in range. That's what we want. And here I get to determine how often or on the average, how often I want the wolves to howl. So let's say a minimum of 3 seconds and a maximum of 6 seconds apart. Okay? I don't know if I ever let you listen much to the sound cue that we made, but I'll go back to that in just one moment. All right, so it's going to do that, and therefore, with some degree of randomness between 3 seconds and 6 seconds, it is going to therefore play that sound cue. So I'll choose play sound, at location. And the sound I want to use is the wolves cue that we made right there. I don't know why I called it wolves 2Q. Do I have something else? No, I guess that's what I called it. Probably because I deleted one that I made earlier. The one I made in class, actually. And at what location? Well, I want this to be, I'm going to get the player location, but that's not going to be directly the location where I want the sound played. What I want to use for the location is random point, I have to spell it right. Oh my goodness. Okay, get random reachable point and radius. This is what I need. So you see why I got the location variable, because it has to have an origin. Okay, like so. And let's say that we want this to be, we can define the radius here. We can specify it. But I want it to unpredictably vary so that some of the time it sounds like the wolves are a little bit closer, and some of the time it sounds like they're a little bit farther away. So I'm going to pull off of here and type random float in range till I see that. And now I can decide maybe I want them to sometimes sound closer, right? So the minimum distance, maybe I'll estimate 1200. And how far do I want them to sound away? Or how far away do I want them to sound? I beg your pardon. I told you it's late. It's been a super long day. Anyway, so the maximum I'm going to estimate right now, let's say within 3600, maybe less, because I think that's the default attenuation anyway. So let's go 3000. Okay, so that's just a guess on my part. And I'm going to bookend this custom event with itself. All right, so we'll come off of here and type start wolves, like so. And now I just have to call the custom event somewhere. And it seems to me that right off begin play would be an excellent time to do it. So start wolves, call function start wolves. And let's just go into play mode and just wait at least 3 seconds and see what happens. Let's see. You know what I don't think I did? I don't think I put the blueprint into the world. Okay, so let's save. I think that's pretty obviously what I didn't do. BP animal sounds. Yeah, okay. It's bedtime. Cancel. Leave me alone. Okay, I'm sorry, that just wasn't in the world. So I'll just snap it to the ground and let's see. Okay, that's pretty good. And let's go back into that. And I think that when they are closer, they can sound perhaps even closer. So maybe we'll do 900, just as an estimate. Maybe that'll be a little more disconcerting for us. Now it's going to be near or close at random. Hopefully you can hear the spatialization. So 3 is enough, by the way, with the concurrency on those, for sure, I would say. Okay, here's a little dead spot where something was not overlapping. It's okay though, because there's still other sounds yet to be placed into here, okay? So I would say that the wolves are pretty much working, but let's go back into animal sounds here. And remember that we've got some other one-shots like those crows. And we can reuse a lot of this code. We just need to make different custom events for each one. So let's just steal this much of it and duplicate it and put it down here. And now we just have to make a couple of other sound cues. So let's go back into our imported audio base directory. And we'll do one with, let's see. Let me make the cue first, I suppose, because I might want to use some of the crows. Let me see what these sound like. Yeah, we may not have enough from that particular day. So let's go into, I called it more imported audio. I think there are more crows in this one. So, yeah. I guess this will be where we make, okay, I guess we're going to make this one in here, okay? Using these because there are more samples there. So crows 1 through 6 will highlight, right click, create single cue. It can be called crows cue. That's fine with me. And again, we'll override the concurrency. So, you know, how often do we want this to, how often do we want crow calls to take place? How many of them should overlap? Let's say 3 again. And something that I probably should have also done in the other sound cue for the wolves is the voice steal release time. Increase that so it sort of crossfades in case one has to be interrupted by an incoming instance of that sound cue. So it won't be a sharp cutoff. Let's just do 1 second on that and save that. And we'll do the animal sounds. And let's see, the wolves cue. Yeah, I wanted to find that so that I can do the same thing there. Voice steal release time. I'll set that to 1 second as well. And that will prevent us from hearing any sort of like abrupt cutoff. All right, so now there's this cue, and we don't even really have to listen to it yet. But it was crows. right? Or ravens or something. So I'll just make a new custom event. Start ravens. Start ravens mad. Okay, so we'll go into this and we'll call it again. And maybe I can have, different settings here and or here. But remember, it's all going to be randomized anyway, so you just might want to change the ranges. And now off of begin play, after start wolves, we'll start, what were they called? Crows? Start ravens? I forgot. Start ravens. Okay. Start ravens lunatic. Okay, that looks pretty good, except I didn't... oh yeah, I put the wolves cue in there. That's the wrong cue. Okay, yes, good. I'm glad I'm paranoid. That should be the imported audio 2 folder, or more imported audio. This is terribly disorganized. Here's the crows cue that we made, and that's just got to be popped into this one. Okay, so now let's listen to the combination of what we have so far. Okay, so on the birds, I think that these should sound farther away. So let's do the 1200 like we did before, and maybe 3300 as an estimate. And compile and save, and I'll leave it at that. And let's continue now with, what else do we have? We've got some beds, frankly, and we've got some wind. Okay, we can make a sound cue for that. Let's just make sure it's looping. My meeting controls around there. So get them out of the way. Looping needs to be true. So I'll save the sound asset that way. And cue out of that. Create cue. And I'll just put that, I guess I'll put that in the world. And for now, just out of laziness, we'll make it 2D, okay? It's just going to be everywhere. I could have different versions of wind placed around to spatialize it completely if I wanted to. Sorry, it's saving. It's probably going to be loud though, so as soon as that saves, I'm going to be reducing the volume multiplier on it. Awesome. All right, so let's do 0.3, save, and see what it's like when we play. All right, I'm pausing it, and I'll be right back until it finishes saving. Okay, so it has saved. Now on this one, I want to turn off allow spatialization, because it's going to be 2D like I said. I would probably make different versions of wind in different regions if I wanted it to rotate as the player rotates. Again, it's saving, so I'll spare you the time and I'll wait for that to finish and I'll be right back. Okay, so I'm back, and let's just see how it sounds in the game. Well, save. I would think that I would have heard that much louder. Maybe I turned it down too much. Let's start with it back at 1. Okay, so I don't think that's masking anything or interfering with anything in particular. So let's see what else we have. We have some beds. Okay, we have some dogs, distant dogs. So let's make a sound cue out of those. Dogs. And I think you can see where this is heading. I'm not necessarily going to use everything here, but I'll just throw in the remaining loops, and these dogs will be spatialized. So let's override the attenuation. The dogs can be kind of anywhere. Okay, and let's go back into our animal sounds here. And we'll do a start dogs. Copying this, pasting it here, making sure I've got that dogs sound cue highlighted so that I can place it where it belongs in this play sound at location mode. I'll say start dogs. No, I'm sorry. Custom event. Gee whiz. Start dogs. Bookend it. Start dogs. I know that was annoying for a little while. And then call it from begin play just like we have been. Start dogs. And let me just look at the distances. Maybe that's good. We'll see. Let's play it. Okay, I think the dogs need to get louder, so who let the dogs out? My God. Embarrassing myself. 1.5 perhaps? Sorry. It does not sound, it either doesn't sound loud enough or often enough. So maybe this shouldn't be so far away. Maybe this should be more like 2500. Maybe this should be more like 1500. Let's find out. And while I'm at it, I'm going to set the volume multiplier on the dogs. Distant dogs cue? Wait, is that even the right one? I suppose so. I don't remember calling it something so silly. Yeah, obviously not loud enough though. Let's try 4. Oh, you know what? I've been doing that to the wind, and that's absolutely not right. And undo isn't working, so let's set the wind back to 1. And is the dogs? Yeah. I don't think it's in the world yet. So let's get that in the world. Of course, everybody but me probably realized that. So let's just, again, look at the radii. Override the attenuation. No, it's going to be 2D. So what we want is do not allow spatialization. Oh no, of course we do. Allow spatialization. Beg your pardon. And I think we adjusted it in the sound cue, but nevertheless, let's override the attenuation here. And I think I set it to something like, I think it was like 1200 to 2500. All right, you can do it really in either place. I think it's easier from the details panel. I keep forgetting. Okay, I can hear the dogs, but very, very faintly. So distant dogs. Let's check our volume multiplier. Turn that way up. Now that's perhaps too much. Okay, I like the 3D elements we've got. And now we've got some loops. So we'll make a sound cue out of this one. And I suppose we'll just make that 2D. It's very loud. That's not bad. I think the wind might be a little overwhelming. And there was this night bed. Oh, let me look inside the cue, make sure everything is set up right. Looping. Just to leave no stone unturned. I heard it stopping, actually. That is what jogged my memory. And let's make sure that I've done so for the frogs also. Yep. The frogs. And the dogs. Oh no, those were one-shots, I beg your pardon. That part was 3D. The wind. Doesn't that sound like it cut off? Let's see. I don't think this is even the one. Wind. Yeah. It's the wind that keeps on stopping. That keeps reminding me that I have to check this. This might have been a good opportunity for us to try bypassing that just to see what would happen. Okay, so in-game, the wind now I think could be a little bit louder. After all. And we hear those frogs. Let's see, there was the wind cue. Yeah, all of these could be made into separate cues. And we'll set them all up the correct way for looping. one. Did I do that one yet? Nope. Save. And then there's this one. And then we'll just balance these out in the details panel. And they'll all be 2D for now. Okay, not everything has to be 3D necessarily. So I'll save that. Oh yes I will. Okay, there you go. And let's just get these into the world. Night bed loop. 2. Oh, those are those owls. Forgot about them. Okay, so these 3, we're going to not allow spatialization. I think I might have intended to for the owls, but I see that there are only 2 there. And yeah, so those are just going to play automatically, so let's see what it feels like in the game. Pretty cool. Obviously she needs some footsteps and everything. I can also point out that although I did make some very, very quick music for this, in my haste, I left the click track on. So, sorry about that, but we could, of course, have a little bit of music in there. So, oops, that's not what I meant to do. Here is the clip. And make that into the cue. First, let's make sure it's looping. Make a sound cue out of that. Let it name it whatever it needs to be, whatever it feels like being named as far as I'm concerned, for our purposes. Set the wave player to looping. I'm doing this just because I'm superstitious. So embarrassing that I left the click track on when I bounced that. So again, that was not last night, the night before, and that was also a long day. I make a lot of excuses, don't I? Anyway, so let's put the music into the world. I think the music is sounding a little bit loud. That was this. That's pretty spooky. Really miss the sound of the footsteps though right now. And now we just have to imagine zombies chasing us around. And as you know, that's going to be coming up in our next lesson. So anyway, I hope this helped you. I hope you found this useful, and thank you for staying with me despite my nighttime delirium. Alright, one more time. Let's just play it for fun. trying to enter all the zones. Okay, that sounds pretty dynamic to me. So try to make something similar to this, okay? Hopefully you've seen all the different possibilities. So give them all a try, and we'll see how it feels in your version of the game. All right, thank you again, and good night. Bye bye.